And the day has finally arrived. Here in the BATGUS, obviously there was gonna be one day that we're gonna have to talk about the two great movies that defined my life and also that were gonna define a new era of superheroes in movie history. Both directed by Tim Burton, Batman and Batman Returns. But since both of these movies are so important for me, especially the first one because it is the movie that I have the first memory of what is a movie in my life. So I thought with myself, instead of just talking about them individually, why not put them against each other in a great battle to see which one was the best Batman movie from the Tim Burton era? And here we are. To do this, I required the great resources of the databanks of Gotham City to come up with the best categories to put these two movies against each other and decide which one will be the winner. I'm kidding, I come up with them myself. So we're gonna have 7 categories, and to start with, we're gonna have Best Villains, then Best Batman. Don't worry, cause I will explain later. We're gonna have Best Action, Best Gotham City, Best Soundtrack, Best History, and Best Ending from each movie. So let's not waste any time. Starting with Best Villains, here we have a competition that is a little unfair because we have one movie with only one villain and another movie with a pair of them. But here's my point. Which movie developed better its villain? Which of them had the most challenge to Batman in their stories? In Batman 89, we all know that Jack Nicholson stole the movie. He was the main star in that one. And I suppose that his character before becoming the Joker in the acid tank had little to no personality, except for the fact that he was really vain with his girlfriend. So one of the things that always fascinated me about this version of the Joker is the real dive into craziness that happens after the acid tank. How the accident really exposed all the madness that was hidden inside him. Not only that, but he became even more vain as the Joker. So yes, it's absolutely true that Jack Nicholson's performance is the main highlight of Batman 89, and he carries that movie. And I think craziness and this deep dive into madness is a theme of the Tim Burton movies. Because in the second one, we have a similar thing happening with Selina Kyle once she becomes Catwoman after the murder attempt by Max Schreck. In the case of the Penguin, here we have basically a tragic story. He is a monster. He is someone who was ignored by society and now wants to reclaim all that he deserves, especially coming from a rich family of the Cobblepots. So we have two villains that their arcs are based on this descent to darkness, and one that his arc is basically this rise to the power and fall after he becomes a criminal. So if I have to decide to which movie I should give the point, I gotta say, I love Jack Nicholson and I love his performance, but I still think there are some things in that movie that doesn't fall very well with me, especially the whole Jack Napier murdered the Waynes. I know many people also don't like, and it looks like an element that they shoved there just to come up with a circle in the story. But it doesn't really work when the villain himself doesn't remember the fact that he murdered those people. Plus, it looks like an idea, like I said, that it's an afterthought or something they come up in the middle of the writing process. But in Batman Returns, the whole fall to madness of Catwoman is amazing in my opinion because it takes this woman who is a servant, basically, or that doesn't really stand for herself, to another persona of a woman that is wild and wants to go out at night to kick some ass and do crazy shit, doesn't care for any rules anymore. And this is a cool concept in a character, even though the Catwoman here doesn't have anything to do with the comics. For me, Michelle Pfeiffer's version is the best Catwoman ever. I hate that when we have a new movie, everybody goes, oh, this new version of the Catwoman is the best ever created. And I go, no, please shut up. There's only one Catwoman and this is it. Look at her costume. Nobody's gonna beat this outfit of Michelle Pfeiffer. And let's be honest, nobody has. And not only this costume makes her the sexiest woman alive, in my opinion, but also fits very well with the whole look of the movie. About the Penguin, what can I say? I love Danny DeVito and I love this character. I love the whole arc of rise to power and fall back to the sewer. He is a tragic character and he is everything that Tim Burton is about. An incomprehensible monster. And I also love these kinds of characters. So There's no other way around. Point to Batman Returns. Now let's go to Best Batman, and like I said, I will explain. We both know that Batman and Bruce Wayne was never the main character in these movies, even though his name is on the title. He's never the character that Tim Burton is most interested in delve into. It's all implicit, it's all in the eyes of Michael Keaton. He is a guy that's hidden in the shadows, and you really don't know him by these two movies. I mean, you don't know who is the persona of Bruce Wayne very well. You can see some things in there, but never the full picture. But to be honest, I like this aspect of these movies. In fact, I intend to make a video about this in the future, so this is a conversation for later. Given what we have here, I have to choose which movie I think explored the character better. One aspect that is very clear in Michael Keaton's performance is the fact that he has this kind of double persona like Clark Kent Superman, but is much more discreet. We have the guy that is a little confused or a little out there, never focused, or he doesn't really portray that character that Christian Bale did later in the Nolan trilogy that is a facade for Bruce Wayne. He's always out there, like I said, but when he becomes Batman, he is fully focused and fully on point. And I always loved this touch in the character. And I think he portrays this aspect in both movies, so it becomes difficult to choose which one has the story that explored his persona better. I think we have to take into account in a mathematic way that at least Batman 89 explored a little of his trauma and why he became this character today. Even though I don't like the whole Jack Napier killed the Waynes, at least we have this dream sequence that explores the Wayne murders and why we are here today. In Batman Returns, there's none of it. Sometimes he doesn't even show up in the movie very much. When he does, you kind of go, oh yeah, Batman is there, it's true. And I also think we can take into consideration another aspect of the character, that is the Batman itself, or at least his suit, which is something that I would like to explore here. I love the suit in both movies, but it's very clear that in the first one, they didn't figure out yet how the suit would fit Michael Keaton's body. There are some gaps in his mask. From a distance, the suit looks great, but if you get closer, it looks like it's kinda dusty. At least that was always my impression. And in Batman Returns, the whole suit looks like it was created by laser. It is perfectly shaped for Michael Keaton. Not only that, but both from afar and close, it is very beautiful. But this is just another aspect that I wanted to talk about. I think, in terms of character, we can give the points to Batman 89. Okay, let's talk about the best action. And when we talk about Batman, I think we can think about two qualities that are important in Batman action scenes: the fights and the vehicle scenes. But we have to be honest, Tim Burton is not the best director in terms of action scenes in neither of his movies. When we talk about fights, there is one good fight in the end of the movie in the cathedral, when Batman gets his ass handed to him by that guy from the Joker gang. The rest of the fights, including the one with the swordsman in the alley, are okay but underwhelming in my opinion. And in Batman Returns, things don't improve much. For the lack of Batman in it, we have few fight scenes. We have him fighting some of the circus gang in the streets of Gotham in one point, and the fight with Catwoman. So I guess in this category both movies are equals. Let's talk about the vehicle scenes. When we talk about the Batmobile, I think the introduction of it in Batman 89 is absolutely fantastic, even though the chase scene is very short for what I would have liked. So in Batman Returns, we get to spend a little more with the Batmobile, especially in the scene where the circus gang hacked the vehicle and it's being controlled by the Penguin. Plus, we have the Bat Missile that, like I said in my video of ranking the Batmobiles, is also too short. So let's talk about the other vehicles. In Batman 89, we have the Batwing, and in Batman Returns, we have the Batski boat. And here, I'm not gonna even waste time. The Batski boat from Batman Returns is a very cool vehicle in terms of design, but the whole scene is very underwhelming in the sewers of Gotham as well. That being said, my favorite scene of Batman 89 is the Batwing scene. I remember that as a kid, that was the scene that I always waited to see when I watched the movie. I love the whole catching the balloons thing, the memorable scene that it goes through the clouds and goes almost into space. At least that's what I thought when I was a kid, Batman in space, and he's stopping in front of the moon, which created that classic shot. Then coming down again and facing the Joker in the parade, shooting bombs in him until it is hit by the Joker's gun and crashes in front of the cathedral. So I don't even have to say, even though it was difficult to decide, with that scene alone, the point goes to Batman 89. Now let's talk about the best Gotham City, and this is an aspect that is very important to every Batman movie. How the mood, the atmosphere, the design of the city plays out in the story. And in Tim Burton's movies, that was probably one of the most important aspects of the production. The whole design of Gotham. The first Batman sets the mood to what this place is. The whole architecture of the city created by Anton Furst, the late Anton Furst, was one of the aspects that made that movie so iconic. All the buildings, smoke coming out of the chimneys, statues everywhere. The whole thing is simply marvelous. Also in Batman 89, we get to see a little more of the street levels of the city, right? We have the rich places, but we also have the alleys, the dark streets where the criminals are. It feels like a living, breathing place, but completely contaminated by Gothic architecture all around. Now in Batman Returns, the whole design created by Bo Welch follows the same structure, but now we have the great difference of being Gotham in the snow. And I gotta say, even though Batman 89 set the mood and the architecture that was necessary for a Batman story, I really love Gotham in snow. All the decorations, the lights, it really creates this magical feeling in the city that is so perfect for Gotham. Plus, it fits very well with the story because here in Batman Returns, we have a kinda like dark fairy tale style to the whole thing. Even though we still have the statues, the buildings, the stores, all the real places that we've seen in Batman 89. So I guess it's a matter of what pleases you more. The Gothic style but a little more realistic and grounded, or the Gothic style but much more to the fairy tale or dark fairy tale like I said. And I prefer the latter. So it breaks my heart, but I will give the point to Batman Returns in this one. But if you disagree with me, no problem, because here if you say I prefer the Anton Furst design for Gotham in the first movie, I'm with you as well. Now let's go to an aspect that I believe is a little unusual but very important to both movies, and that really was part of what they became, the soundtrack. And I'm not talking about the Danny Elfman soundtrack for the movie, the whole music for the whole movie, I mean. Because comparing those two, obviously there are some differences in both soundtracks, but also they are the same, basically, so it's not so fun to compare them. I'm talking about the band soundtracks, an element that was crucial for the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher movies from the 90s. And I loved these elements. I don't know why the following Batman movies, starting by Batman Begins from Nolan, didn't have any soundtrack or band soundtrack. And here we have the classic and memorable Prince soundtrack from Batman 89 that was a huge hit, of course, along with the movie. And the funny thing is that Prince made all the songs for the album of the movie. And two of the main hits of this album was, of course, Bat Dance and Party Man, that not only were great songs, but also they had great music videos with the Batman theme in them. Prince really went all the way to become Batman and the Joker in these music videos and dressed their personas. I love both videos, but from the two I prefer Bat Dance, of course, because look at that. This is just insane. This music video is everything we need in terms of band soundtrack for a movie. An absolutely fantastic complement to the whole experience of the Batmania that happened in '89. Imagine a music video like that today. It just wouldn't happen. That's why movies today are so boring. Right, Pat Pattinson? I'm kidding. Jokes aside, I absolutely love the soundtrack and the music video, but here's the polemic. In Batman Returns, we had only one main soundtrack from the band Susie and the Banshees, with the music Face to Face and this wonderful music video that is absolutely perfect in terms of gothic photography and all these images of the band, which fits very well with the movie. And again, here I think this category also has this point of what is your favorite music style? So here comes the problem, because not only I am in love with Susie and the Banshees and all their songs, but I believe this is my favorite song of them. It's very sexy and mysterious. It's just perfect for Batman Returns. And even though in comparison to the Prince songs, it didn't come close to reach the same level of success, I really prefer this song. So again, I agree if you disagree, but I will give the point to Batman Returns. Now let's go to Best Story, which is really complicated because both movies have a simple story. We have Batman against the villains. They fight, they are rivals. In Batman Returns, we have the difference that there is a love between Batman and Catwoman, but both movies end with the villains trying to destroy Gotham City. In the first one, Joker uses the gas, and in the second one, the Penguin uses penguins with rockets, of course. But in terms of confrontation between these villains, I think the first movie plays a little safer in terms of it's basically the Joker trying to destroy the city using the gas or beauty products, and the Batman tries to stop him. And Batman Returns goes a little further when both villains get together to stop the hero, and not only stop him, but frame him and make him become a criminal himself, which is the greatest idea for a villain. Catwoman is very clever when she says that just to kill a hero can make him a martyr. They need to destroy his reputation first. So they come up with the whole scheme of frame him. They put all Gotham City against Batman, which makes for a very interesting conflict for the hero. Plus we have a third element that is very unusual, that both villains are being manipulated by Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. And this leads to a final act where both villains want revenge against the man. So it's not a great story or genius one, but at least it has a little more sauce than Batman 89. The only problem is that the poor Batman gets nothing out of it. I know. We would have to wait a little more for Batman Forever to put a little more focus on Batman himself. But anyway, in this case, I give the point to Batman Returns. And finally, we have the last category, Best Ending. Let me start by Batman Returns. This movie has a very dark and depressing ending, we all know that, which is an interesting take for a superhero movie, but also very fitting to the tragedy of both villains. The Penguin dies as the monster that he always was, even though we feel a little sorry for him. And Catwoman disappears because she realizes that she's not the woman that she once was anymore, and there's no happy ending for her with Batman or in any other place. And it's also very sad for Batman himself because he was in love with Selina Kyle, so he loses her in the end. It always makes me a little emotional, but in terms of real ending that really puts the whole thing on a very high note, I cannot deny that the first movie's ending in the cathedral is just apotheotic. It's one of the best endings in any movie for me, and it has also a little bit of a fairy tale tone to it, with the whole Batman climbing the cathedral to rescue the princess in the hands of the monster. And Vicky Vale even wears a white dress to make this point even more clear. Plus, I just love how the whole thing is shot, with this gothic environment inside the cathedral, the big lights of the police moving outside. It's just so beautiful, so gothic, and such a fucking awesome ending for this movie. Also, Joker falling is one of the best deaths of villains, in my opinion. So even though this is more of a regular ending for a superhero movie, I gotta give the point to Batman 89. But, counting the points together, the winner of this fight will be Batman Returns. Now look, making the final considerations, even though the winner here was Batman Returns, I don't necessarily think either movie is the best one. It's just a fun video for us to consider some aspects that we love or don't like so much about each movie, and an opportunity for me to talk about both of them here in the channel in a fun way. Alright, so don't get mad at me if you disagree with some of my choices. You're free to talk about your opinions as well here in the comments. The main thing here is to celebrate both of these movies that, like I said before, defined my life and defined many of yours as well. Alright, thank you so much if you watched the video until the end. We're gonna have more competitions of Batman movies in the future, so if you are liking this content and you want to see these future videos, don't forget to leave your most beloved subscription here in the channel. Plus, I also have another channel called TRASHIN WITH GUS where I make other competitions between other kinds of movies, so if you are interested in that too, please don't forget to subscribe to that channel as well. Alright? Thank you so much for your bat company, see you in the next bat videos, and bye bye!